The African National Congress is facing an unprecedented crisis of confidence, with its support base dramatically shrinking in traditional strongholds such as KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. In KZN, newly appointed provincial convener Jeff Radebe has launched a charm offensive, promising transparency, accountability, improved service delivery and better relations with traditional leaders, including a visit to King Misuzulu. Meanwhile, in Gauteng, the party also doing some serious soul-searching at his provincial khotla, with leaders warning of an existential crisis if grassroots structures aren't urgently rebuilt. Joining me now to unpack these issues is political analyst Sandile Swana. Sandile, great to speak to you. Now let's begin in KZN, where Jeff Radebe is promising a new era of transparency and accountability to win back voters. In your view, does the ANC have the internal machinery and political will to follow through, or are these just tactical statements made under the pressure that they're under at the moment?
Oh, thank you so much, Hugo. Certainly in KZN, they have to build the structures afresh of the ANC, because in my judgment, what has happened in their engagement with the competition with the MK party, the MK party has been taking chunks, taking structures and all into MK itself. So I think by and large, in some of these places, the ANC has been left with almost nothing. So they need to rebuild from scratch. The question will be whether they have time enough to build before the next election, which is next year.
Now, how much of the ANC's electoral collapse in KZN can be attributed to the rise of the MK party and Jacob Zuma's influence? And is the ANC handling that disruption smartly or making strategic missteps?
There is a direct connection between the emergence of MK and the total collapse of the African National Congress in KZN. At this stage, it's difficult to say whether the ANC has a credible program to recover from that. But all we can say is that the losses are extremely deep and structural. The damage is massive. So I do not see them being able to repair that damage very quickly.
Now, there are multiple conversations around political will, right? So, Gauteng, there is the provincial khotla that is currently taking place. Do you envision that there is political will? Was last year's election a wake-up call for the ANC? Are they admitting to failure and actually doing something about it? Or is it a case of multiple conversations and no real action on the ground?
I mean, it's difficult because I was listening to Panyaza Lesufi saying that in Sedibeng or some place like that, they prioritized 40 roads to be rebuilt and what have you. And the service providers just took the money and disappeared with them in this period of rebuilding. Now, I didn't hear him saying that he's going to arrest those people and fire the state employees involved in that exercise, because that is what is actually required. So that would be the demonstration of political will. Not to say that those people must bring back the money or rebuild those roads. Those people have already committed an offense. The police need to be on their case. The HR department needs to process them, some of them out of the system. That would be a much better demonstration of political will.
So let's talk about this practically, Sandile. There's maybe a year, maybe 18 months tops to go before the local government elections. What sort of strategies does the ANC need to implement and follow through on in order to make sure that they get back the support of those lost votes?
I don't know about the strategies, because my problem here is that all the 8 things that Panyaza Lesufi listed that need to be done are the things that are stipulated in law that the ANC needs to do: to provide water, to provide sanitation services, to provide electricity, basic services. So they've installed in place in all these municipalities around Gauteng people, and I think Panyaza admits to this, people who are prepared to do everything else, including overcharging the state and conducting criminal activities during office hours. They are keeping those people in place. They are keeping them in their jobs. And the service delivery is not happening because time and resources are being diverted to these criminal activities and self-enrichment. And that is exactly what needs to be done. I cannot, on my street here, say that I'll vote for the ANC when my cars are bumping in potholes every day. What will I see in order to be enticed to vote for them? The issue is about the services must be there, and they must be consistently there. The ready, steady supply of municipal services over the next 12 months or so. So that, to me, needs to be there before we can talk about fancy marketing strategies or anything like that.
So I foresee two challenges here. Now, the one challenge, obviously, is ensuring that service delivery is delivered. Service delivery happens. The issues that you're talking about, electricity, water, collection of refuse, filling up of potholes, etc., stuff that the ANC government or any government is expected to do and not receive accolades for it because that's why they were voted into power. But the second issue then speaks the fact that there are a number of other political players who are in the same space, who are performing, so to speak. How much of a challenge does this pose to the ANC government?
I don't see, too much of a challenge. For instance, I haven't been to Midvaal. I suppose that's what you're talking about, a municipality like Midvaal, to go and see what's happening. But I have a very good sense, having lived here since the 80s, what good quality service looks like. So I don't need to go and look at any other thing. I know what it should be there because they've removed the quality of service that was there before. So we know what we've been losing over the years. So they need to restore that. So the fact that there are other high-performing, which are very few, by the way, very, very few. I think there's one in Gauteng. So, we can't all be going there to go and benchmark whether our sewerage is up to standard or what. No, I don't think that's a very relevant factor. The failure of the ANC cannot be blamed on the DA, cannot be blamed on the EFF. MK is a new party. So those two parties, EFF and DA, are not responsible for the failure of the ANC. It is the criminals who are full-time in the ANC municipalities, in the ANC offices, who are actually causing the failure of the ANC. That is what Panyaza needs to deal with, to remove those criminals completely.
And what will it take for the removal of those criminals?
There is nothing that it takes. There's nothing. If I want to remove a criminal out of my yard, I can take my gun and remove the criminal. If you are leading an organization, you need to say, this is the list of the people, secretary of the SG, remove these people from the organization, remove them from deployment. That's all it takes. We have been leaders of the structures of the mass democratic movement before. This lack of discipline is new. This is a new phenomenon where there's just people do wrong and actually commit crimes and they are tolerated and accommodated. It's a new phenomenon. And Panyaza Lesufi knows it's in the constitution how people must be fired, and they must be fired very quickly.
So it takes us to the next point, and that's around factionalism, which has long haunted the ANC, both in Gauteng and KZN. We're hearing talk of unity and rebuilding, but how deep is the rot? And can unity really be achieved when trust within the party itself is fractured?
It all takes leadership. You'll forgive the example I will give you. You imagine how divided Rwanda was to the point where the citizens actually butchered each other in millions. And Kagame had to come in there and stop all that nonsense. So people like Lesufi and Balula at his level, you got to bring the nonsense to an end. You just got to bring it to an end. Either you succeed or you die. It's at that level. So you cannot be accommodating people and their irregular practices in the ANC, including factionalism and bribing each other to support certain factions of elections and stealing government money to finance elections in the ANC, and you tolerate that. We've seen decisive leaders in Africa. Kagame is one of them. You can learn from them. We've seen decisive leaders, even in the US, like Trump, We've seen the likes of Putin, we've seen Xi Jinping in China. You need decisive leadership.
So let's get to KZN, where Khadebe's visit to the Zulu king and his remarks about ethical leadership suggest a pivot to traditional structures. How significant is this politically, especially in a province where rural and traditional dynamics still shape voting behaviour?
Khadebe is there, he's a real Zulu, but whether he has the same weight and credentials among traditional Zulus and structures, it's another thing. I don't remember him carrying any particular weight there. So this is a gimmick that might prove to be useless. And he might end up just like Duma before him, who tried to be part of that and instead started a fight with the kingdom. Because if you are not used to those things, you are going to end up making blunders. Zuma is very good in that traditional activity. The ANC should have come with its own strategy of how they are going to deal with the issues of KZN.
Political analyst Sandile Swana, great speaking to you and appreciate certainly your viewpoints on where the ANC finds itself.